Hello and welcome to a day in 15 minutes UPSC Prelims Daily Current Affairs by Ekam IAS. Today is 18th February 2020 and the topics for discussion are US removed developing tag for India, Greater One-Horned Rhino or the Indian Rhino, Corporate Train Model of the Indian Railways, Marine Turtle Policy, Beetle Hughes and finally the Urban Bent-Toed Gecko. Now coming to the first topic of the day, which is US removed the developing tag for India. Now what happened is on February 10th, the US removed more than a dozen countries which included India from its list of countries that were classified as developing for trade purposes. So now coming to the question, what is this developing country status? Now countries are classified as developing and these countries are allowed to export certain goods to the US without being hit by punitive tariffs that are usually imposed on goods for the developed countries. Now, the developing country status owes its origin to the US Trade Act of 1974. Basically, in this, it authorizes the generalized system of preferences to help poor countries develop faster. Now, understand, these benefits were extended further under the World Trade Organization, wherein rich countries agreed to grant trade benefits to countries that were classified themselves as poor. Now coming to the question, why is India being stripped of the status? So basically, US argues that countries like India and China have actually witnessed significant growth in the last few decades. Now this, the US believes, is enough reason to scale back the various trade benefits that India or countries like India and China are getting. Now it was further cited that the share of global trade enjoyed by India and China and their membership in the G20 club to argue that they enjoy significant economic power. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind here is that now with the current change in India's status under the USTR classification, the task of reclaiming the lost GSP benefits now becomes even more harder for India. Now, the thing is, how will the US decision affect global trade? That's a major question. Now, the thing is, it will increase the overall tax burden on goods crossing international borders. Now, going to the next topic of the day, which is the Greater One-Horned Rhino, also known as the Indian rhinoceros. Now this is in news because the one-horned rhino has actually wandered out of the Kaziranga National Park and this has caused a little bit of worry for the people in that region. Now coming and talking about this animal, the one-horned rhinoceros is the largest of the Asian rhino and Assam is the home to the largest population of the one-horned rhinoceros. Coming to its conservation status, its IUCN status is vulnerable and it is included in the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now talking about its habitat and distribution, understand the preferred habitat of the Indian rhinoceros is alluvial floodplains and areas containing tall grasslands along the foothills of the Himalayas. Now formerly or earlier, the one-horned rhinoceros were actually extensively distributed in the Gangetic Plains, but today the species is actually restricted to a small habitat region in the Indo-Nepal Terai region and the northern West Bengal and Assam region. Now in India, rhinos are mainly found in Kaziranga National Park, Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary, Orang National Park, Manas National Park, all of these in Assam, Jaldapara National Park and Gurumara National Park in West Bengal, and then Dudhwa Tiger Reserve in Uttar Pradesh. So you can see that stretch in the northern Indo-Nepal border, that is where you find the one-horned rhinoceros. Now coming to the Indian Rhino Vision of 2020. Understand, this was launched in 2005 and the Indian Rhino Vision 2020 is actually an ambitious effort to attain a wild population of at least 3,000 greater one-horned rhinos, which is spread over 7 protected areas in the Indian state of Assam by the year of 2020. Now the 7 protected areas are the Kaziranga National Park, the Pobitora National Park, the Orang National Park, Manas National Park, Lakhova Wildlife Sanctuary, Burachapori Wildlife Sanctuary and finally the Dibru-Saikhova Wildlife Sanctuary. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is the corporate train model of Indian Railways. Now understand, this is in news because there is a question which came up, that is, how does the Indian Railways corporate train model actually work? Now one more thing you have to keep in mind with this is that the Kashi Mahakal Express is the country's third corporate train after the 2 Tejas Express trains between Delhi and Lucknow and Mumbai and Ahmedabad, and this was started in the past few months. Now coming and talking about the answer, which is how does this model actually work? Now in this model, the corporation takes all the decisions of running the service, that is fare, food, onboard facilities, housekeeping, complaints, etc. So all the things are taken care of by the corporation. Now the Indian Railways is free, from all these problems, and will get to earn from IRCTC a pre-decided amount, as Indian Railways is the owner of this network. Now this amount has three components, that is haulage, lease and custody. Now coming to haulage, now see the haulage charge, it actually includes the use of fixed infrastructure like tracks, signaling, driver, station staff, etc. That means everything that is physically needed to actually move the train. Now coming to the leasing charge, understand the IRCTC will have to pay a small leasing charge as well to the Indian Railways, because the Indian Railway coaches are actually leased by its financial arm, which is the Indian Railways Finance Corporation. Okay. Now then we come to the last one, which is the pre-day custody charge of keeping the rake safe and sound while it is in custody of the PSU. So three basic charges are there: the haulage, lease and custody. Now coming and talking about what are the Indian Railways benefit from this model. So obviously the benefit would be Indian Railways doesn't have to suffer the losses associated with running these trains. Okay, now coming to the question, is this the same model for private train operators? Now thing is, the model in which private train operators are sought to be engaged is different, wherein along with the haulage charge of rupees 666 per kilometer, the operator needs to agree to a revenue sharing with the railways. Okay, this is one revenue sharing part which also is added to this. Now the company willing to share the highest percentage of revenue will win the contract, and private players may not need to pay lease and custody charges, as it is expected that they will bring their own rolling stock. Now going to the next topic of the day, which is the marine turtle policy. Now this is in news because the government is to launch a marine turtle policy and marine standing policy to address pollution caused by microplastics in the marine ecosystem. Now coming and talking about this, the thing you have to keep in mind is the turtles that we have in India. Now the thing is, there are 5 species of sea turtles in the Indian waters. These are the leatherback turtles, the loggerhead turtles, the hawksbill turtles, the green turtles, and finally the olive ridley turtles. Now coming to talking about the significance of all these turtles, understand sea turtles, especially the leatherback turtles, actually keep jellyfish population under control. Now this will in turn help in maintaining a healthy fish stock in the oceans. Now the green turtle feeds on seagrass beds, and this would actually improve the seagrass ecosystem health by removing seagrass biomass and preventing the sediment formation over it. Now by cropping the grass, they provide a nursery for numerous species of fish, shellfish and crustaceans also. So it increases the biodiversity. Now the hawksbill feed on sponges in the coral reef ecosystem and opens up crevices for other marine life to live in those crevices. Now the turtles are also transporters of nutrients and energy along the coastal areas. Now coming and talking about why there is a need for the marine turtle policy. Now in India, sea turtles are actually protected under the Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 under the Schedule 1 Part 2 of that Act. Now even though despite this legal protection given to the turtles, they are actually facing a lot of grave threats. Now thousands of sea turtles are accidentally captured, injured or killed, and the mechanized boats, trawler nets and gill nets operate in these areas are used by commercial fishermen, and these are the major causes for the dangers that lurk for the turtles. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is the Beetle Hughes. Understand, this is a red supergiant which is over 20 times bigger than the sun, and it is in the constellation of Orion. Now this is basically news because Betelgeuse was actually born as a supermassive star millions of years ago and has been dramatically and mysteriously dimming. Its brightness has been dimming significantly for the past 6 months. So the reason behind this, scientists are actually trying to find out. So just to as another information also for you to know this, a red supergiant or a red giant as they say, it means that a star is about to die. Okay, so there is going to be significant loss in energy of that star, and maybe that might be the reason why the star starts to dim. But scientists are saying that it is happening at a very fast rate, and that is why the studies are being conducted right now. Now going to the last topic of the day, which is the urban bent-toed gecko. Now understand, this gecko is actually a new species of lizard which is zoologically named Cryptodactylus urbanus, and this new gecko has been discovered in Guwahati in Assam. So that's all for today. If you have any doubts or queries, you can write down in the comment section below. For additional information, you can please log into our current affairs website, which is www.neoiscap.com. So thank you and good night.
Like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Follow our website neoiascap.com for the detailed content and monthly prelims digest. Also join our current affairs exclusive test series through the website. And finally, participate in the daily current affairs prelims infotainment quiz at our Telegram channel, that is Neo IAS Prelims, at 9:30 p.m. every day. Thank you.